Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at what happens when a single tenant goes up against his corporate landlord. It's like a high-stakes chess match, a game of strategy, rights, and retaliation, where, every single move matters.
So, what do you do? It's a really tough question, right? And it's the exact situation a tenant in New York, a guy named Kevin, is facing right now. His story, wow. It's not just about one apartment. It's basically a masterclass in how these tenant-landlord disputes play out. It's this complex game where one wrong move, just one, could mean losing his home.
All right, so let's dive in. It all kicked off with a lease renewal. Or, well, what looked like a simple lease renewal at first.
Okay, so the landlord, Brookfield Properties, and these guys are a huge corporation. They sent him a renewal offer for his apartment at a luxury building called the Eugene. The proposed rent hike? Over $2,000 a month. That's a jump of nearly 30%. Just wow. So naturally, Kevin questions this massive hike. And the building management's response? Super blunt. They basically said, your apartment is market rate. End of discussion. But, and this is a big but, Kevin had been digging around, doing his own research, and he found something that suggested, this story was far from over.
And this is where things get really interesting. Kevin's digging through city records uncovered a game changer. The building has what's called a 421A tax abatement. Now what that means is the developers get this huge tax break. But, and here's the kicker, in return, they're supposed to follow rent stabilization rules. So that one little fact, it just completely blows up the landlord's whole market rate argument. This becomes Kevin's first big strategic move on the chessboard.
Okay, so while this lease fight is heating up, a whole new battle opens up on a second front. This time, it's about the power bill. The bill's from a company called Metergy, and the real twist here, Metergy is also owned by, you guessed it, the landlord, Brookfield.
And then this shows up. And let me tell you, this isn't just a friendly reminder to pay your bill. Nope. This is a formal warning from Brookfield's Properties, the landlord, basically saying if he doesn't pay this utility bill from their other company, Metergy, it could be a breach of his lease. They could actually terminate his lease over it. So boom, just like that, the two fights are officially tied together.
And get this, the amount they were demanding, it was just staggering. A total balance of over $2,700 for electricity in one apartment. I mean, that's an amount that seems almost impossible, right? It definitely made Kevin think there had to be some bigger problem going on.
So Kevin pushes back, he demands an inspection, and this is where the story takes another crazy turn. During the visit, which was recorded, Metergy's own technician basically says, from what you're telling me, it could be the building. He admits the problem might not be Kevin's fault at all, but a problem with the building itself.
And the possible reasons why? They were pretty alarming. We're talking about investigations pointing to systemic issues, things like stuck heating elements in the AC units, which, by the way, is a potential fire hazard, plus possible incorrect wiring, and get this, other tenants were starting to report similar, crazy high bills. All of a sudden, this wasn't just about one guy's rent anymore. The stakes were way, way higher.
Okay, so you've got this conflict blowing up on two fronts now, the rent and the utilities. To really get what's happening, we got to understand the legal playbook. To figure out what moves Kevin can even make, we need to know the basic rights that tenants have in New York City. So first up is something called a holdover eviction. This is pretty much the landlord's main power move. It's what they use if a tenant, someone like Kevin, refuses to sign a new lease with that huge rent hike, or if they just refuse to move out when their old lease is up.
But on the other side of the chessboard, tenants have protections too. The law is supposed to shield them from tenant harassment, and that's a pretty broad term. It can mean a landlord trying to pressure you out with threats or intimidation, or, and this is key here, by taking away services and amenities you're supposed to have.
And another thing, landlords can't just drop a massive rent hike or a non-renewal on you out of the blue. There are rules. Depending on how long you've actually lived there, New York law says they have to give you a specific amount of written notice. That's designed to give you, the tenant, time to figure out what you're going to do next.
So armed with all this knowledge,
about the tax thing, the power bills, his rights, Kevin's whole strategy changes. He stops just playing defense and decides to go on the offensive. And, well, his landlord's countermove was immediate and very, very clear. See, he decided this wasn't just about him anymore. Kevin actually created a tenants' rights group and a website called Fight the Good Fight. The whole idea was to get other tenants organized, to share information, and to build a united front against what he calls corporate bullying.
And you want to know what happened almost the second he started doing that? According to Kevin, the building retaliated. They allegedly deactivated his key fob. Just like that, his access to all the common areas, the gym, the roof, the co-working spaces, you name it, was cut off. Amenities that, are part of his rent.
And that brings us right here to the end game. The legal notice periods, they're set to expire on July 31st. As we're recording this, that is literally just days away. The clock is ticking loudly. It is a critical standoff, and it is time for a final move.
The landlord's last email made it crystal clear. It was a stark ultimatum. The message was simple. Make your decision right now, or we'll see you in court. So the chessboard is set. The pieces are in place. And the next move, it's all on Kevin.
So what does he do? This is where you have to think like a chess player, using a bit of game theory. You have to map out every option, right? Think about your move, then their likely countermove, and then the outcome. Okay, so option 1, renew at the new rate. The legal threats probably go away, but he's stuck with that huge rent payment and none of those other big issues get solved. Option 2, vacate the apartment. He gets out, he avoids a messy court battle, but he loses his home. Then there's option 3, fight it out in court. Now this is definitely the riskiest move. He'd be forcing the landlord to try and formally evict him, but it's also the only way to really stand his ground, assert his rights, and drag everything he's found out into the light.
And that brings us right back to that first question we asked. When it's you, a single person, up against a giant corporation with your actual home on the line, what does a win even look like in that scenario? It's a question that's way bigger than just this one building, isn't it? It really makes you think about what it truly means and what it costs to fight for your rights.